Hello, good morning, welcome back to another video and welcome to Cornwall. So as I said in my last video, I'm out here for about a week, just on a kind of little getaway. We come down to Cornwall quite a lot because my girlfriend, my partner's from around this way. So we come like 4 or 5 times a year. I've never really spent much time fishing, which seems criminal, seeing as much I love fishing and how amazing Cornwall is for fishing. So we're here, we're down at a mark, about to suss it out. I've got my light spinning rod, and yeah, we're gonna find some fish, hopefully. Can't lie, that is something else. Look at that for a sunrise. So as I say, I'm down here to do a little bit of lure fishing today. I started off down there in the cove. Now, I won't get into the politics of it, but to keep everyone happy, I won't say where I am. Just say Cornwall, very South Cornwall, I'll say. And yeah, I was going to put a wetter line in the cove and do a bit of spinning, but it's quite sandy there. Not to say I'm not going to catch any fish, but I am keen to look for a rocky mark that I can hopefully get into some wrasse, maybe pollock, and of course bass, all on the menu today. Not that I'm planning to keep any fish. Well, I could do. Could have a little barbecue, but we'll see. Let's try and find the fish first. Now, obviously, this is a new mark to me, new area for me to fish, which is always exciting. I have scoured this place to death on Navionics, on Google Earth as well, to try and figure out if the rock marks that I want to fish are accessible, which you can kind of tell, and they look like they are. Hopefully when I get up to them they will be. But also, of course, just to see what the terrain's like, what the seabed's like, what the depths are like. And there's some deep water around this corner, which hopefully should be accessible. Oh yeah, and sorry if I sound out of breath and a bit odd. It is 6 in the morning, and I've not had any coffee or breakfast. And I struggle to operate then. Well, that looks like a lovely little fishing platform. And I know it's quite deep water there, or deep enough for us to get some fish at least. However, I'm not a mountain goat. Well, the fleet are heading out. God, I'd love to have my boat down here for a play. I really would. And with that sunrise and that amazing view, with the fishing fleets, fishing vessels just coming back into harbour, this is going to be my playground for the morning. So it's taking me about 30-40 minutes to walk around the cliffside to get here. But when I looked out or scanned this area and this kind of section of coastline for potential marks, this one looked quite appealing, as I say, because of the deep water. But here, the cliff shallows quite a bit. It's not as steep, not as treacherous. So I'm hoping it means we can actually access the water's edge. There were some marks back there actually, like really nice kind of rocky fishing platforms, but I'm not going to break a leg to try and get to them, put it that way. Now, it's also worth mentioning, just from a safety point of view, as I say, I've done as much research as I can do. This is a completely new area for me to fish. It's not, my Dorset coastline that I'm used to and I know well, but I'm about 2 hours before low tide. And I'm only planning to fish for 4, maybe 5 hours. And I don't expect I'm going to have any areas that cut me off, but I know if I come back in 4 hours time, the water state, or the water height level, will be pretty much where it was before. So I know I'm pretty safe if I'm fishing 2 hours before low tide and 2 hours after. They can differ a little bit, but as a rule of thumb, it should be all right. I'm at the west side of this kind of big peninsula, this big rock that juts out from the coastline. And I'm going to start on this side and work my way around the rock, seeing if we can't find some fish. Here we go, first cast. So I know the water here is about, well actually from memory, I think 5 meters deep, quite close in. Probably tempting fate. I probably want to put a weedless on, but I'm too excited to get a line in. Right, we're going to switch to a weedless before I start tempting fate too much. I can feel it tugging on a little bit of weed. I don't really want to lose a lure from the get-go. Locked and loaded. Right, I'm going to give myself 5 more casts here with this lure, and then we're going to move over. I can feel a platform, or I can see a platform even, a little ledge just below the waterline in front of me there. So I might come back to this spot in maybe an hour's time, see if it's been uncovered by the low tide and fish it then, because I can feel myself just hitting it and nudging it about probably the first 3-4-ish meters as I'm reeling in. So yeah, we'll come back maybe. We'll see how we fish other side of the rock. Do you know what that sunrise just made me realise? I left my sunglasses in the car. I hate fishing with that polarised lenses. No, I don't hate it. I never hate fishing. But it is frustrating when you don't have lenses, especially lure fishing. When you really want to kind of see the terrain and see the ground below you as much as you can. Damn. Oh well. At least the sunshine there to be frustrated by. Right, well, jumper's off. It's heating up. Another lure change. I'm taking the weedless off. I'm getting greedy again. I'm going for the what's the opposite to a weedless? Weedless. A proud hook lure. I don't know. Just because I haven't got many heavy weedless lures on me, at least anyway, and I want to get a little bit more distance on my cast. So yeah, I'm going to go for this. Better. Right, new spot, third spot, and this is actually the deepest accessible water I think that I can get to. So I'm probably most hopeful for this one out of the 3 that we've done so far, because more water, bigger water column, more chance of fish being there, more space for fish to be there. So yeah, let's give it a go. Under the bail arm, absolute amateur. Well, rather frustratingly, just there we have a flock of birds working some bait fish. Now that's normally my favourite sign to see on a boat, but from the shore, where it's just beyond casting distance as well, it's a little bit frustrating to see all the fish right in front of you and you can't reach them. But I'm hoping that some predatory fish, some bass or whatever, come and try and push those bait fish up onto the shore, and then I might be able to be within, well, casting distance. But yeah, it's heating up. Right, well, we've spent the best part of an hour and a half on this kind of peninsula here, out into the deeper water, and still nothing to show for it, unfortunately. So I'm thinking it's coming up to slack tide now, slack water low, or low water slack even. So what we might do is come back round to this spot, on the way back up to the car and see if it fishes a little bit better on the flood. But yeah, for now, I'm going to head up that coastline a little bit, soak in the views, and see if we can't find another spot to chuck in some lures. Well, this serves as a fantastic vantage point to kind of give a bit of an update of what we've been able to achieve and some of the ground that we've covered. So, where that little valley is, that's where I started off, fishing in towards the cove where I kind of set my journey. And then I came down to here and fished this kind of area out to about here, kind of working a clockwork pattern to cover that ground. And then the third spot you saw me fish was the other side of this rock, so the back side, which is into this area here, which is the deeper water marks, so down into about 10 meters depth, I would say, roughly. And then what I've done is, of course, come back over here, and then I've just been casting the lure along this edge behind the back of that rock, of course, around there, and then I've just been working around this little headland bit here, this bit that juts out. Unfortunately, nothing to show off just yet, but yeah, these are shallower marks here. This is quite shallow. I think it does strike me this might be more of a high tide mark, some of these bits here, because I'm fishing into about probably 2-3 meters of water. And of course you can catch fish in that. You can catch fish in about a foot of water or less, but it does mean it's a little bit more snaggy, and I'm trying to obviously be a bit more careful with the lures. But yeah, still amazing to be out here, and still having good fun. The plan is now is to carry on down this coastline. I'm probably going to go up to about here, fish off this little headland there into some of the deeper-ish water there. This is all, I mean, you can see how kind of shallow this goes down, so casting range is like this. It's not massively deep, so I would like to try and find some deeper water marks. There are some far side down that way, so I'm going to head down there and see what we can find. Right, had enough of this spot. I'm going to head back down to where I started off, where the deeper water is, as the flood tide has now started. And hopefully that's brought the fish on the feed, and hopefully we can hook into some. Right, we're back here to the headland that we started on this morning. I feel like it's got a fish for me. I don't know, this spot just calls to me amongst all others. Let's see if it can produce. These are the last 30 to 40 minutes I'm going to get fishing in Cornwall until probably winter time when I want to be back. So I am determined to catch a fish on this session. Come on, let's make it happen. Let it sink. That'll do. Changing the lure up. Well, that brings an end to my little Cornish lure session. Unfortunately, no fish. I genuinely, on my last cast there, had what I felt was a little tug. And to be fair, actually, it wasn't my last cast. I then actually cast 2-3 more times in the same spot, but I couldn't find whatever was there. But yeah, oh well. Anyway, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed coming along for the ride, despite there being no fish. Obviously, the scenery has just been like amazing, stunning. So it's kind of made up for it. Now, I don't like uploading videos that don't have fish in them. I know some people do, and some people say, you know, that is fishing, and yes, blanks do happen, like has happened today, but I don't really like uploading content that doesn't have actual fishing in it, or catching, as what we all like to do, rather than just fish. So I'm actually going to roll over to a session I had a few weeks back, which I wasn't actually going to post as a video, but it feels now appropriate to bolt onto the end of this one. It was a stunning session. Again, I went towards the Needles, and it was amazing. I actually was trying to do a 10 fish challenge on lures only, so that's why I'm thinking it's quite fitting to tie it in with this one. And that was also a sunset session. So whilst I've had a sunrise session, this is a sunset session in Dorset. Easy for me to say, on the boat. So I'll roll over to that. I'm trying to catch 10 fish within a 3-hour period of time, with lures only artificial baits, no fish baits, worm baits, or anything kind of living. And yeah, so I'll roll over to that, and you can see how I do. Hello and welcome back to another video. We've managed to pluck out an evening's fishing on one of the hottest days of the year. The mercury's hit about 33 degrees today, and it's absolutely stunning conditions out here. It is flat calm, blue seas. I just couldn't turn down this excuse to get fishing. Not like I need an excuse. Right, so the task today is I've brought no bait with me. I am armed with just one weapon of choice. That weapon being my Penn Conflict inshore spinning rod, paired with a 3,500 Penn Slammer. And all I'm going to be fishing today is artificial baits, so metal lures, soft plastics, feathers. That's it. I've got about 3.5 hours of daylight left to fish, and my target is to get at least 10 fish on the lures. And I'm going to make it a little bit trickier and say only 3 of those can be mackerel, no more than that. The rest have to be bass, pollock, bream, whatever's going to take my lures, feathers, whatever it might be. No time to waste. Let's head out there to the first mark, see what we can find. Just pulled up on our first spot. It's actually a little bit before the actual mark that I want to fish, but I want to just drift here to see what our drift's doing really. It's just a bit of broken kind of reef, about 12-13 meters deep, so nothing crazy. Might be fishing, might be not, I don't know. But we have a line in the water, which is just jigging that little metal jig at the bottom, and I have got a strip of feathers on here as well, so more chance of catching. Okay, so nothing on this little sacrificial drift. Oh, that was a bite. What are the chances of that? I think it was something nipping at the feathers. I've got little silver tinsels on. I'll leave that down for a few more seconds. But it has given me some good information. I now know exactly what way I'm drifting. I know how fast I'm drifting. So I've actually just upped to a slightly heavier metal jig. Nothing too crazy. This isn't actually a jigging rod, but it does the business. It's perfect, and it's a really nice light setup for some big fish, big bass, pollock, whatever we can find. Even a nice big bream, and they fight like the absolute clappers. So, well, whatever was down there doesn't seem to want to come back. So let's move to our mark. It's literally about half a kilometre that way. A little wreck that I want to fish, and we'll see if we can't pick anything up on there. We need to get into the first fish. We've got pretty much 3 hours, bang on 3 hours now. First drop then, guys. Let's see what we can do. It's a little bit deeper here. Not too much, but a little bit. All right, there's the bottom. Okay, so that's 2 drifts I've had over this mark now, and nothing to show for it yet. On that last drift, I did have just one little tiny tap on the rod, which could have been something tiny, but it means there might be life down there. So I'm going to give it one more go, one more drift. If nothing on that one to show for it, then I will move on to another mark. I've got a few marks, hopefully, that will produce tonight. Planned anyway. So yeah, we'll do one more, see what happens. on. Fish on, guys. I'm starting to lose a little bit of hope then. Feels like a little bream maybe. I'm not sure. Or mackerel? No, it feels like a mackerel. Yeah, it's a mackerel. Oh, he's come off. He's come off at the side of the boat. Right, do I count that? I mean, who nets a mackerel? And it's only a mackerel, but it's one of my 10. I'm going to count it. It was at the side of the boat. I had the rig in my hand. I don't use leaders, but I had the feathers on my hand anyway. I'm going to count it. Damn it. Alright, that's one mackerel. One of the 3 that I'm allowing myself. Right, let's go find some fish. Need to start finding some fish soon, otherwise this is not looking good. Technically only 1 fish down and only just. But I will say I'm being a little bit experimental tonight in terms of, well, one, only bringing lures out. Obviously normally I'll bring some form of bait, and if the lures don't work I'll switch to the baits and vice versa. And also the marks. I'm actually fishing, there's a few marks that I've fished with lures a fair amount, but I'm actually doing a bit of a lap, kind of a route around the bay, Christchurch Bay, with different reefs and wrecks and different areas, and just seeing if there are, where are the fish, but only of course using my lures. But here I am just hitting all the wrecks and reefs just with lures, and if it doesn't work today, it ain't gonna work for me. That's what it is. But if I can find the fish, if I can find where they are, then I reckon we'll be in. Right, we have a fish. Another fish, and another species as well. Not one that was on my target, and he's not the biggest, and he was foul hooked, but I am nonetheless very pleased to see him. He's actually one of my favourite fish, but I will bring him up and show you. We have a wonderful tub gurnard. He was actually hooked in the gill plate, in the gill cover. It hasn't damaged his hook. He's bleeding a tiny bit, but not a lot, so he should go back nicely. There's a little bit of blood coming out. I'm going to get him back in quickly, but there you go. A beautiful tub gurnard, off the lure as well. Yeah, he swam off beautifully down. He swam off beautifully down below. So yeah, awesome, good result. That was the slow jig. You can see the size of my hand. He's not much bigger than that jig, so comparison to my hand, greedy little bugger. But that is 2 species, and 2 out of the 10. I think we found the fish, guys. Another fish on. Doesn't feel anything big or aggressive, but it's a fish, and hopefully it's the 3rd species. Oh, it's another gurnard. Oh, it's not the same little one, is it? He's a spiky little guy. Oh, another little tub gurnard. Appreciate you probably can't see that, but he's very spiky and very unhappy. I'm going to put him back in. So there we go. He's off. 3 species. Alright, let's try it again. Sorry, 2 species, 3 fish. I didn't expect to be filling my quota with gurnard, but it does it. Right, well, seeing as that drift produced 2 fish, I'm going to do it one more time, just to see if we can't pick up anything else. Would like something, I still want a big bass or something. And I know this area around here is decent bassing ground, so we'll have a look. Don't seem to be on the feed at the moment, but we're going to do one more drift of this patch, then head to the next spot, which is a little bit closer to the needle. We're kind of slowly working our way that way. Right, there we go, back at the start of that drift. Key thing to remember whenever you're drift fishing or kind of going up and down the same mark is never go straight over the mark that you're trying to fish. Do a semicircle around it and then drift back down that line. So you're kind of carving a half circle constantly, semicircle up, drift back down, semicircle up, drift back down. You don't go over the mark you're trying to fish and kill the fishing, which can happen. You know, even in deeper waters, you know, your engine sound, the boat sound can reverberate down the water column and spook some of the fish and just ruin your session. So yeah, give it a wide berth and then drift back down and you should be good. Alright, well, I'm about halfway through this drift now. I did have one bite. It felt like another gurnard that was just playing with it, but I didn't hook into it. So I'm tempted to cut this drift short because I don't want to waste too much time here if it's not going to produce for me again. And to be fair, if I'm only catching a tiny little gurnard, it's not, you know, it's not the thrill that I'm after, let's put it that way. Let's head on. Let's move on closer towards the needles. Next stop. Alright, I didn't get it on film, guys, but check these out. 2 mackerel, takes my quota up. To 5. Right, so just on my way out of the needles now, as you can see. Just amazing scenery. Yet again, Chesil was amazing. Just, yeah, summer when it's on, it's just the best. But all I managed to pick up at the needles was 2 extra mackerel, which are down there. I'm going to take them back. They'll be added to the bait freezer because we're doing a lot of fishing, and hopefully they will be turned into some bigger bass and some other bits and bobs. We'll see. I want to get my lobster spots out soon actually as well. If I get a chance to, then I'll probably put some of that in there too. But only was able to pick up those 2 extra mackerel, which means I've hit my 3 mackerel that I set myself the limit of, and of course those 2 garnered. So we're halfway there, 5 out of 10. But I think I just can't find the bass today. Could not find them. It could be the weather conditions. It could be the, you know, the pressure system that comes in with these hot conditions. I don't know, maybe it does turn the fishing off a little bit. Could be a thing. It's said to be a thing. I've heard it be said a thing, but who knows. I'm always a little bit skeptical of that kind of stuff. But anyway, I'm going to head back towards port, Christchurch for me, and I might try and dip in a few other marks on the way back, see if we can't pluck out a bass, try and get closer to that target of 10. But it's not looking likely for today, but I'm going to try this again. I'm keen to try and have a really good day on the lures and set myself a target of coming out and just, yeah, only using lures and having a really productive day. But for now, we'll head back and see if we can't pick up any more fish on the way back.
Sadly, there were no more fish to report on the way back. However, I hope you've enjoyed coming along for a couple of stunning sessions. We're really lucky to have such incredible fishing grounds on the south coast, and I can't wait to bring you all along for another adventure. See you on the next one.